production costs and revenue. Okay, yes sir? I know, I'll tell you which page to open when it's time to open the page. Okay, just get your books out for now. Okay, so there are different objectives of a business. I thought I'll just start off here. Okay, there's different objectives of a business. What's the main aim of business? If you're in business, what would you want to be doing?
To make a profit.
To make a profit. What else do you think would be a good objective for a business?
To stay relevant.
Stay relevant. Okay, anything else?
Consistency.
Consistency. Okay, so on the board of God, you want to survive as a business, first of all. Okay, you want to maximize your profits. And this whole topic is based on profit maximization. Just to jump ahead, at which points do we maximize profits? Yes, Mr. McLaren.
When your costs are the same as your revenue.
Okay, almost there, not quite. None?
So I think it's marginal cost equals marginal revenue.
And the maximum gap between total revenue and total cost.
So can you repeat the question, sir?
At which point do we maximize profit?
So is it not total revenue minus something else?
Okay, so what you're saying, 100%?
I was going to say MC equals M1.
Okay, so all four of you are right. Okay, we maximize profit where marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue. Okay, or where the gap between total cost and total revenue is the largest or is the greatest. Okay, which was in your assignments, which we'll go through. Okay, so this whole topic basically is based on profit maximization. Also maximizing revenue, okay, and sales maximization. All these things are literally saying the same thing in a different way. Okay. So when we look at short-run costs, we've got fixed costs, variable costs, and total costs. When you talk about fixed costs, Tony, okay, I'm picking on people today. When you talk about fixed costs, an example of a fixed cost, what would your example of a fixed cost is? So if you think about home, where you stay,
Lights.
what do your parents have to pay for every month that doesn't change? With lights, so when you say lights, I'm thinking electricity,
It changes.
it will change. Zuma?
So it would be like rates or rent.
Okay, so rates and rents would be a very good example because your rates don't change every month. You've got fixed rates depending on which area you stay in. Okay, rent also, so your landlord's not going to come to you randomly and tell you next month rent is this much and this much. You'll get a 12-month contract or a 2-year contract where you sign, okay, and then it'll be fixed. Okay, let me start here.
Insurance.
Insurance would be a good example. Car installments, good example. Okay, so you guys get it. Okay, let's talk about variable costs. So fixed costs are those things that you have to pay regardless. In business, when we talk about fixed costs, okay, if we're producing, Fanzel, if we're producing lip balm, okay, and we're producing thousands of lip balm per day, but if we have 0 lip balm produced in that day, what is our fixed cost still going to be?
The same.
It's going to be the same. Okay. Variable costs, on the other hand, are slightly different. Variable costs increase as production increases. Okay. So if you want to produce lip balm for that day, we're going to need all the stuff to produce that one lip balm. That will be all the variable costs. We'll need somebody to actually produce that lip balm. Okay. That will be a variable cost. So any other examples of a variable cost?
Which other things, wouldn't restaurants be on to,
Okay, but specific, so I hear your example is also fine. Okay, so restaurants technically would be a variable cost. Why do you say that?
because they have to keep on producing to people's demands, so it's not, different days depend on different.
Okay, okay, Ms. Manyat?
So you can ask the examples.
Okay,
Also like gold, so it's like jewelry, so you
Right.
actually like carve and everything to make jewelry.
okay, so the gold will be
The gold will be
the variable cost. Okay, so the more jewelry you make, the more gold you'll need. Okay, last one. Labor, okay, give us an example.
So there's business might purchase more machines to make more products, or they might use people. So in order to make more products, to maximize revenue, they'll get more people.
100%, okay? So you want to produce more products, you're going to need more people to produce those products, therefore labor would be a variable cost. Okay, the Zondo first?
So electricity.
Electricity would then be a good example. Okay, so if you're using machines, Donny, and they use electricity, if you're producing a lot, that machine will then use a lot of electricity that month or whatever the case might be. That's a variable cost.
I was gonna say cost of resources.
Cost of resources, okay? And when you talk about resources, just explain.
Like, I don't know, machinery, the product, the stuff we use to make the products.
Okay, the stuff. So I was thinking raw materials would be a good example. Okay, so the raw materials is the stuff that you put in when you're producing or you're making goods or services. Okay, so if you are producing a lot of goods or services, you're going to need lots of raw materials. Manyas, are you ready to ask?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
sorry to slow down. It's a bit explain like the variable cost things like I don't understand.
So variable cost, Nand, jump in.
No, it's this cost that changes. I don't
It's
know.
cost that changes as you produce. Okay, so labor was a good example, so maybe let's stick to labor. So labor are people working. Okay, so in the Zom farm, if we needed to produce, if we're only going to sell 2 Zoms a day, college only sells 2 Zoms a day, how many people do you think we're going to need to produce those Zoms? One. Okay, let's say we now need to produce 20 Zoms a day. Just Manyati, how many people do we need to produce 20 Zoms in a day? Realistically. And they had the whole day to produce them. I'll still say 1. 20 Zoms, 10, and then I'll still say 1. But if I said 2,000 Zoms a day, then you need more people. So variable cost will be the labor. The more you produce, the more variable costs you'll need. The same example, okay? You need 1 Zom. How much electricity do you think you're going to need to just press 1 Zom and then switch off the machine? Not a lot, right? But the minute you're producing 20,000 Zoms, you're then going to need that machine working all the time, and what's happening to electricity bill is going up. So variable costs go up the more we produce more units. Nant first?
So would labor be a variable cost, but salary is a fixed cost?
100%, okay? 100%, okay? So, but I don't want you to get too confused about it. So I'm seeing Wanyati's frowning now. So labor, right, could be a variable cost because the more you're producing, the more people you need to bring in, okay? But if you look at our environment here at college, okay, most people earn a salary, not a wage, which means every month we earn the exact same amount of money until the year is done, and then they review our salaries, then they increase them by, let's say, 5 to 10% every single year, and then that's how it goes up. But in the year when it's not being increased, okay, it's actually a fixed cost because it doesn't change. So if we had 2 more learners coming into the class, they're not going to hire another teacher. They're just going to put the 2 learners there, so the fixed cost stays the same, right? But if we had, let's use sports and example. No, actually.
So can repairs be a variable cost?
Repairs can be a variable cost. Give us an example of how you think they could be a variable cost.
Like if the machinery breaks, there could be certain parts which are more expensive. Could that be?
Okay, so if machinery breaks, I want us to look at it in this way. Variable costs, I want you to associate them with production. So yes, your example, technically you are right. It could be a variable because, or you could actually even, yeah, you could call it expense because you're buying parts, you're not producing. Okay, but the moment you're using that machine to produce stuff, okay, whatever you need to put into that machine, that will be the variable cost. Okay, I must move on. So if fixed cost, there's fixed cost, there's variable cost, what are total costs then, Mr. Makane?
Fixed cost and variable cost.
It would be fixed costs together with variable costs will give you total cost. Okay, so simple enough, right? So if you have a look at Dan's Donuts Gen, okay, so this is the number of donuts produced. This Q stands for quantity. Okay, obviously we start at 0, so we're producing nothing. Burton, if we are producing nothing, do we still have to pay rent?
Yes.
Yes, okay. But would we have to buy dough or flour or sweets? Because we're producing nothing. So our variable costs when we're producing nothing have to be 0. Okay, no matter what product it is. Because we're producing nothing, we don't need to put anything in. But the minute we start increasing our quantity from 0 to 10, okay, and then our variable costs start increasing. The ingredients that we need to make donuts start increasing. Okay? Fixed costs. What do you notice about fixed costs, Graham?
It stays the same too.
Stays the same, regardless of
Office.
regardless of output. Okay, so even if we're producing nothing, we still need to pay rent. Okay, so every business obviously wants to maximize profits, Okay, but at some point in time, they need to produce or they need to be selling goods in order to make money. They're selling nothing at all, okay? They still need to be paying this 120. Variable cost, as I said, the more the output increases, the more the variable cost gets. Okay? And then your total cost would be your variable cost plus your fixed cost put together. So 120 plus 100 is 220. 120 plus 910 is 1020. Simple enough so far, Chase. Okay. So the law of diminishing marginal returns, this I don't think, I haven't seen it in your books, but basically the law of diminishing marginal returns states the following. Just want to see if it's somewhere here. Okay, if anyone does find it, let us know, but let me explain. The law of diminishing marginal returns. Basically this says, please think about the graph that we did yesterday. Okay, while I read this, think about that graph that we did yesterday. Okay, think about employing, okay, more variable inputs, increases outputs initially at a small additional cost, followed by rapidly increasing cost per unit. I'm going to read that again. The mask is starting now, heating up my glasses. Okay, read it one more time. Employing more variable inputs is the first thing. Okay, increases outputs. So output goes up. Okay. Initially at a small additional cost. So output goes up at a small additional cost. But after that, okay, by rapidly increasing cost per unit. After that, basically, they are rapidly increasing cost per unit. Please, can you try? Yes.
So is that why the graph would just straight go up again?
Come again?
Is that why the graph would go up again?
Which one? Which one? Okay, so here's the. Okay, here's the.
The AC, sir.
Okay, so here's the answer. Yes. Sir?
Is that why the graph would just rapidly go up again?
Okay.
The AC.
Explain. Talk to us.
Because when you increase your output, it goes down. It is no additional cost, it goes down. So.
Right.
And then it starts to rapidly increase, so then it just goes straight back up to AC.
Okay, I hear your view. Let's hear Mr. Moila.
That's what I'm asking. So is it because, like I said, the more you employ, the more you're able to produce, and the more you're able to produce, the more money coming in?
That is logical, yep, but you're still not quite. Okay, let's start with Chandu and then Graham.
So is it like your analogy that you used yesterday about the price tag? So
There you go. Okay, talk to us now, Chandu. Yes, it is that analogy. Talk to us.
no, so same story as you said.
Graham, jump in. Graham, jump in.
So the more you produce, the less efficient it is, so it just becomes more expensive.
Start again, the more.
The more you produce, the less efficient it becomes to produce it, which makes it more expensive.
Okay, that is the obviously the long term. In the short term, yes sir.
So I was just going to explain that so that
Yeah.
you might be making 2 products now, and you can make 6 products with the same amount of resources, and with that's a small additional cost, and maybe that extra coal you have to add in or whatever.
Okay, so variable inputs increase outputs initially with that small cost that you're talking about, yes?
And then after that, you either get more resources, like maybe a second buy stand or more people to employ, and then the cost per unit will increase because the variable costs increase.
100%. Okay? So we're talking about the marginal cost. Marginal cost curve, it's the Nike tick that first goes down, Dodi, and then eventually goes up. It first goes down because if you employ more variable inputs, it increases outputs. So the price stand idea was I could still buy by myself, but when my family came, he could increase more outputs. We could now double what we're actually doing by myself. Okay, but there's still space. We don't need another price stand. Okay, Shani then joins. There's still space for him. So we now have tripled outputs. Okay, so employing more variable inputs, employing more Mr. Tembela, Mr. Matami, Mr. Shandu, increases outputs initially, okay, and a small additional cost, because hiring Shandu and Matambi is not going to be too much, it's not going to be too expensive, because we've got all the resources, we've got the price tag, we've got the things to turn the meat around, we've actually got the meat, okay. But afterwards, when we have to get Nand and Chetty in, okay, followed by rapidly increasing costs. When we have to get Nand and Chetty in, there is no more space for them to buy in the price tag. If there's no more space for them to bribe, they need to wait while we finish bribing. Okay. While they're waiting, we are paying them money. That is then a cost to the business. Whereas Mahlambi jumped in, he didn't have to wait. We paid him money, but he started producing, so we still made money. Shandu jumped in, we paid him money, but he was also producing at the same time, so profits went up. But when Nand and Chetty come in, now we paying the money, but they have to wait. And while they're waiting, the cost will then rapidly increase. Is it making more sense? The night tick? Okay. So let's look at cost curves. Okay. The first one is the fixed cost curve. It's a straight line. Fanzel, why is it a straight line?
Stays the same.
Stays the same. Okay, simple enough, it stays the same. Okay, so even if it started here at 600 and our fixed cost, it will stay the same the whole time. Okay. You've got then your variable costs. Where do you expect your variable costs to start? At which points here? Yes, sir. Okay, starts at 0, 100%. Why is it starting at 0 again? Because you're not producing anything, so you don't need to add any flour or sugar if you're making donuts. Okay, and then your total costs. This is a bit of a tricky one. If you can figure this one out, I think we're on the right track. Where do you think your total cost will start? Have a look at it properly. We'll give it to Mael again.
So where fixed costs will start because you're paying rent and stuff. So
100%. 100%. Okay, 100%. Okay, so it will start where fixed cost starts because regardless, you have to pay rent. So this is your total cost, that's your variable cost, and that's your fixed cost. Simple enough so far. Okay, let's carry on. Now we look at average cost. The average of anything. You get a report every single year, Mr. Shivani, right? In that report, you've got your aggregates at the bottom. Your aggregates is basically what? What do you understand? Every time you see that aggregates, what do you understand? What do you think you... Disappointed. Okay, Shandu, let me give you a chance. But you were right, add everything together, and then?
They divide by the amount of subjects to get aggregate.
Okay, so Shivan says add everything together. Okay, divide the number of subjects you're doing to get your aggregates. Shandu, what do you say?
Same story, sir.
Same story.
Same.
Same story. Okay? So average cost, what are we gonna do? Yes, sir?
Add every unit into add every cost into variable number of units.
So all the costs, right, as Mr. Mahlambi says, divided by the number of units. Okay, so you are right. So total cost of production divided by the number of units produced. Okay,
So
you
you're
get your
saying
average.
it's TC mine divided by Q.
100%. Okay? Average costs are effectively the cost per unit of production. So if you want to produce more, okay, you want to see what that extra cost is going to basically be. Okay? Yes, sir?
So the average cost is a smiley face, right?
Average cost is a smiley face. Okay? Average cost is a smiley face that first goes down and then goes up. Remember? Okay, so your average cost drop as you're producing. Then they get to a point where your average cost now increase. Price stand idea, your average costs were dropping when Mr. Mahlambi came in and Mr. Shandu came in, okay? But it got to a point where Chetty and Nand then had to come in and our average cost started increasing because the cost of having them sit there and do nothing is actually more expensive for the business and it costs the business a lot of money.
And so they're not making profits.
And you're not making a profit. If they're standing idle, they're not contributing to profit, so you're 100% right. I want you, Burton, to think about that idea again. If you all weigh 50 kgs, and let me make it a bit difficult. Listen very carefully, Dwayne. If you all weigh 50 kgs, okay, college points, 80 kgs, okay, and there were 1 million of you in this classroom, if the 1,000,001 person had to walk in and they weighed 80 kgs, what would be the average weight of the class? 80 kgs. So we're all on the right track, okay? The minute we have somebody walk in that is more than 80 kgs, that's 100 kgs, what's going to happen to the average weight of the class? It's going to increase. So think about the same thing with costs, okay? The costs will decrease because at first, the people that are coming in, okay, are producing more for the company at a lower cost. So they're bringing the cost down. It's like the weights that these people are bringing in is less and less and less. But the cost will start increasing. Why? Because those people are now standing idle and they're not contributing. So they are a much more bigger cost. And if we have a bigger weight come in, it's going to pull the whole weight up. Okay. Average costs can then be divided into the following: average fixed cost, average variable cost, and average total cost. Okay. So average fixed cost will be, definition will be, Jyoti, how would you work out your average fixed costs? How do you work out the average of anything? I've asked that question. It was answered by Shivan. So now I'm saying, how do you work out the average fixed costs? Jyoti, try.
Also, fixed cost is the same thing, so it's
Yeah.
about,
So to work out the average of fixed costs, how?
just add up.
And divide by quantity.
And divided by quantity. Okay, Jens, I want you to get that part. That's variable cost divided by quantity is equal to average variable cost. Total cost divided by the quantity is equal to average total cost. Okay. It's getting a bit more interesting. Have a look. So here we're looking at the cost of Dan's donut den. Okay. And here he's now producing pizzas in his donut den. If you look at the left-hand side, that's the quantity. Starts from 10, okay, up to 70 pizzas a day. The fixed cost, the rent, stays at 120. Okay, variable cost, okay, is 100, 160, 210, 280, up to 910. Okay, so as output increases, variable costs increase. As output increases, fixed costs stay the same. Your total costs, or your fixed cost plus your variable costs, we've done that like enough now. Okay, and then your fixed costs, or your average fixed cost, your average variable cost, your average total cost are just basically divided by quantity, divided by quantity. So to work out this whole line here, you have to go to your fixed cost, 120 divided by 10 is equal to 12. 120 divided by 20 is equal to 6. 120 divided by 30 is equal to 4, and so on. What is happening to your average fixed cost? Please, can somebody observe? Yes?
It's decreasing, sir.
Oh, you want to ask a question? Okay, yes, sir.
It's decreasing.
Your average fixed cost is decreasing. So, how do you expect that graph to look like? It will start off at 12, okay? And then, how do you expect it to look like? It's like literally a line going down, okay? A line going down. Tony, it's very important what I'm explaining here. Because yesterday, that was the confusion. You could all draw the night tick. We all understood the night tick. We all understood the smiley face. But we didn't understand the average variable cost, which came underneath the average cost. And in order to understand the average variable cost, steaming, okay, we need to understand that fixed costs, because they stay the same, and they're getting divided over a larger and larger quantity, they're going to decrease and decrease and decrease and decrease and decrease and decrease up until they get to a point of close to 0. Yes, sir.
So that like your average variable cost starts from 10 and then goes down slightly and then goes back up. Because starts from 10, 8, 7, 7.
Very good observation, okay? And we'll have a look at why this happens. But look at your average variable costs, okay? They start going down, they get to a point where they've sort of like equalized, and then they start increasing again. Okay? Look at your average variable, or your average total cost here. Also goes down, then starts increasing again. Yes, sir.
So this is a bit off topic, but if average fixed cost goes into negative numbers, what would be how will the average variable cost and average?
It won't go to negative, it will go to, it will go just, you'll see the graph, what the graph looks like. Okay.
It won't go to negative, so
Fixed cost.
You can't be paying
No.
less than nothing.
I mean average fixed.
No, they also won't go to negative.
Why not, sir?
Okay, when we get to the graph, then maybe ask the exact same question again. Yes, Mr. Manyati?
So what happens when there's like triangle, like the change in total cost or it's change in total revenue, so like what do you do there?
Okay, so what is the change of anything? If you are the change of anything, let's just go, where is it? Okay, it's not here yet, we're still also going to get to it. Okay, but it's the change in anything is what? The difference. Okay, so if there's same change in total cost, you want the total cost from the previous quarter or the previous, so you look at the total cost from 10 units, okay, and then you look at the total cost from 20 units. Then the change is the difference between the two. Okay, but we'll get to that. let's try to do it systematically, Jen, so that, yes, sir.
So can we assume that the marginal cost cuts the average cost between 7, 6, and 5?
7, 6, 7.
And 6, somewhere between.
Will that be the lowest point? If that's the lowest point, then 100% we'll cut it at this lowest point. So it will probably cut it here at 7. Okay, again, let's wait for the graph. Okay, so this is what it looks like on a graph: average fixed cost, average variable cost, and average total cost. So, your question. Fixed. You can repeat it now. Yes, sir.
So I was going to ask.
Why is fixed cost? You're saying that fixed cost should get to a point where it's negative.
Yes, sir.
How? Like how?
Oh, wait,
Like what's your logic behind it? You know, okay, you know what we can do actually? Here's how we work out average fixed cost, right? Have a look at this. Okay, take a photo maybe with your phone, and then try and work it out to see if this number will get to a point where it's negative. It'll get too close to 0. Steaming up glasses. Okay, it'll get to a point where it's close to 0. Okay, but it won't go negative. Okay, so it'll go down, will go down, will go down, and it'll keep going up until that point there.
So it ever reach 0?
It also won't reach 0.
So I think it won't reach 0 because the variable costs are also increasing all the time. So that if you carry on dividing, it's never actually going to reach 0 because the numerator will increase every time there's another unit to produce.
Okay, thank you very much. That's a good explanation. So that's what I was saying. If you take those figures there and you just keep dividing, see, if you keep dividing, it'll probably get to a point where it's 0.00000, but it won't go to negative. But anyway, average fixed cost, we said we'll start high. It started at 12, remember? Okay, and then it dropped. So when we look at it here, it starts at 12, 15, 12 is there, and it's dropping until it's 1.7 there. Okay? So we're just literally plotting what we saw in that graph. Okay? Your average variable cost will start also at a specific point, just under 12. Okay? They will drop slightly. Okay? Up until, somebody mentioned it, Mahlambi said, okay, up until 7, so this is 7.5. So 7 should be somewhere here, and it's the lowest point. Okay? And then they'll start increasing again. Okay, we looked at it, average variable cost. Okay, they start dropping. We get Matlambi to come and Brai, drops the cost. We get Shandu to Brai, drops the cost. Nand and Cheti then come and Brai, but there's no more space, so the cost starts increasing. Okay, so what does it look like? It's a smiley face. Okay, and then lastly, you've got your average cost. Okay, sorry, the average cost of the smiley face. Your average variable cost, okay, is basically the difference between, if we had to work out average fixed cost, what would the formula be? Just anybody tell me what the formula would be to work out your average fixed cost. Average fixed cost?
Fixed cost over quantity.
Okay, fixed cost over quantity. Okay? Okay. Marginal costs, I'm gonna go back to our assignment now. After this, marginal costs are the increase in total cost when one extra unit is produced. Okay, so if we're producing and we produce one extra unit, okay, that's the increase in the total cost. So calculate the marginal cost in a business. The change, Mr. Manyati, in total cost is calculated and is divided by the change in outputs. And in your assignments, we've got a nice example there that we'll go over. Okay, yeah, let's quickly watch this video. And then, Mr. Clifford.
Hey, how you doing, Econ students? This is Mr. Clifford. Welcome to ACDC Econ. Right now, I'm going to talk about cost curves. If there's one complaint about learning microeconomics, it's cost curves. I mean, no one gets excited about cost curves. They might not be exciting, but cost curves are super essential. Now, someday you might own a business, and it's important to understand the cost of production. Calculating your costs is going to help you figure out your profit, but it also helps you figure out how many units to produce. And you're going to be doing these calculations for costs and drawing the cost curves a whole lot in microeconomics. So although it seems kind of bland, it's time to get excited about costs. So let's go over the different types of costs. Every company has two different types of costs. Fixed costs and variable costs. Fixed costs are the costs that don't change with the amount produced. Like if you're a pizza company, the oven, right? You only have one, it's a fixed resource. It doesn't matter how many pizzas produced, you still have to pay for the oven. Another example might be the manager's salary, right? You still need a manager whether you produce 1 unit or 1,000 units, and so the manager's salary is a fixed cost. So variable costs do change with the amount produced. So if you produce more output, you're gonna need more resources. So raw materials, labor, electricity are all examples of variable resources, and that's variable costs. If there's only two types of costs, fixed and variable, then total cost must be fixed plus variable costs. And there's also marginal cost. Marginal cost is the additional cost of producing one more output. If you're a pizza restaurant, it's the cost of producing one additional pizza. It's the change in total cost divided by the change in output. So now you understand the total cost. There's total fixed cost, total variable cost, total cost, and marginal cost. Now let's see if you can calculate them on your own. Right here I have the cost for a given firm. Right, we have 0 output, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units that they could produce. I've also given you the variable cost and the fixed cost producing no output. I want you to copy this chart on your piece of paper and finish off these columns. Calculate the fixed cost, the total cost, and the marginal cost. Pause the video and then do those calculations and I'll go over the answers. What's the fixed cost of producing 1 unit? Well, it's $10. For 2 units, it's $10. For 3 units, it's $10. Why? Because it's fixed. It doesn't matter how many units produced. You still pay $10 fixed cost. Total cost is the variable plus the fixed cost. So when you produce nothing, you still have a total cost of $10. Remember, that's because you have to pay that fixed cost. For 1 unit, it's $20. For 2 units, it's $27. Then 35, 50, 70, and 120. And it's really that simple. Variable cost plus fixed cost equals total cost. The marginal cost is the change in total cost from producing an additional output. So if the total cost of producing nothing is $10 and the total cost of producing 1 unit is $20, the additional cost of that first unit must be 10. Since the total cost of 2 units is 27, the additional cost of that second unit must be an additional $7. So again, the marginal cost is the change in total cost divided by the change in output. So it's $8, $15, $20, and $50. Now that you can calculate these costs, let's calculate the per unit costs. There's average variable cost, average fixed cost, and average total cost. The average variable cost is the total variable cost divided by the quantity. Average fixed cost is the fixed cost divided by the quantity. And the average total cost is the total cost divided by the quantity. Most of the time when you see these, you're going to see them by the acronym. So ABC, AFC, and ATC. Get used to that. Now let's go see if you can actually use those equations and calculate the average cost curves. I want you to calculate the average total cost of 6 units, the average fixed cost of 2 units, the average variable cost of 4 units, the average total cost of 1 unit, and calculate all three, the average variable, average fixed, and average total for 5 units. So go back to your paper, number 1 through 7, and make sure to calculate each one of these. Pause the video and I'll go over them. Alright, the average total cost of 6 units is $20. That's because the total cost is $120, and we're producing 6 units. So if the total cost is $120 and you produce 6 units, how much did each one cost on average? Well, $20. The average fixed cost of 2 units is $5, right? It's the $10 fixed cost divided by 2 units. That gives us $5. The average variable cost of 4 units is the $40 variable cost, total variable cost, divided by the 4 units that we produced. So it's going to be $10. The average total cost of 1 unit is $20. If 1 unit costs a total of $20, then on average, that 1 unit costs $20. Now let's take a step back and find out something you might not have noticed first time around. Notice that the average variable cost plus the average fixed cost equals the average total cost. For example, for 5 units, the average variable cost was $12, the average fixed cost was $2, and the average total cost was $14. 12 plus 2 equals 14. That's how it is for every single one of these. The average variable cost plus the average fixed cost equals the average total cost. Actually, it is not that bad. I kind of like cost curves. The next thing you're going to do is going to take all these costs from the chart and you're going to put it on a graph. To learn more about that graph and to find out how to use it, you got to watch the next video. If you like...
Okay, I think that was just rehashing obviously all the stuff that we just spoke about now. So I'd like us to show you grade 10. Okay, the guys that went in my class. Okay, so let's carry on. Let's go back to the assignment now. So you can take out your assignments. Okay, go back to assignments. And we spoke about this, not going to go over this again. This is where I want to start. So I'd like you guys to, all of your assignments, obviously, in your book, wherever, freehand, quickly plot, first of all, the marginal cost curve. Just the marginal cost curve. Everybody, please. Okay. When it comes to the profit positions, economic profit, profit loss, economic loss, normal profits, you're going to need to know how to plot these things. Okay, so please get comfortable with it now. Even at the back of your book like this, okay, they kind of break actually, and then you carry on after that.